Hello everybody and welcome back to another Plank on 3 of Samurai Jack Season 3 Episode 9 as per usual. That's the outro if you skip that. So yeah, yeah, it's a fun season, it certainly is. I know there's not much to say about this, like, there's not much to say about the show because there's very little progression going on in between each episode. There's very little development. That's not to say that there's anything bad about it, but it's just the episodic format leaves things to be desired, and it kind of leaves these openings and endings to be rather ambiguous since there's very little to talk about. Unfortunately, but still, there's advantages to the episodic format, and in my opinion, this show in particular takes very good advantage of the episodic format. Perhaps some of the best advantage, but this is one of the best. This is one of the best shows that takes advantage of the episodic format, or it's the show that takes the best advantage out of the episodic format. Perhaps one of the best. Whatever. I'll just start with the show proper. That's an odd detail. There are clearly defined lines under his eyes, almost as if he's tired or something. I wonder if that's a deliberate choice or if that's just an unnecessary detail that I'm paying attention to. And there we have the epic quest. Jack is on this episode's quest is Jack has to return the toy to the kid. I mean, that's a very good setup. For once, the setup is actually done rather quickly. For once. I wonder why Jack is looking so angry. Like, he's just trying to return that toy to that kid. He shouldn't look so pissed off about it. Like, that's weird. It's off-putting. Really uncharacteristic, I'd say. Aren't you being careless, Jack? Well, that was a weird little hallucination there. It's definitely like a haunted house and Jack's just seeing visions. It's actually surprisingly well done, creepy setting. It's just moving forward at such a pace that it doesn't have time to settle in and actually start gripping with the creepiness factor. It's just moving like there's something wrong with the pacing already. It's just like I feel like they could actually just kind of calm down and just focus on the scenes, because if they would, this would be a good setup for some kind of horror styled episode once again. Oh well. Still, that grimace of Jack just doesn't fit. Jack isn't usually angry. It's not right. That just isn't right. But man, those visuals, it's pretty good. It's pretty freaking good. Those flashes of visuals, those are done really freaking well, and I love that they are done in black and white. Those kinds of visual illusions, those are really freaking cool, and they are really kind of creepy and maybe not disturbing or creepy, but they are at the very least very striking, and they clearly at the very least give this episode a sense of identity. But I feel like they are going out. Like, usually the show is slowly building these things up. It just feels like they are moving too fast forward. It's unfortunate. Very, very cool visuals, still. That is always rather eerie. I mean, if the episode is going for a mystery setting, that's really freaking well done. That, like, the mystery of this haunted house is at the very least in the forefront really well, and I just realized what is off about this episode, and it is something that's probably gonna pay off soon, and that is that there's no background music. Nothing. It's just completely silent. And usually I'm a big fan of that, but now it's just making everything seem really weird, and that is good. I'm just gonna flat out say that is really good. Just it's hard to judge the episode yet. Of course, it's still undergoing, but if they keep this up, if the payoff is good, this is gonna be a good episode, because just everything is really off-putting, and it's really done quite well, so we'll see. And immediately as I talk about the background music, they just freaking throwing a lot more actually background music. Go figure. It was about time that they'd do that. Well, that was sudden. Hey.
Did I scare you?
No.
This episode's weird. This episode's really weird. But in a good way. It's really off-putting, and it's... everything about it just feels really wrong. I like it. Well, this turned out to be rather interesting. Jack has been lured into a trap. This is all quite interesting.
I just... Come, drink the tea if you don't believe we're real. Please. This is my daughter Kuni, my son Toby, and my wife Yamiko.
But his daughter changes appearance every second shot. And on occasion she just looks different. It's so weird.
Shy children. Toby.
Well, yeah, that unfortunately is quite the giveaway. I would have preferred that Toby just wouldn't have talked and would have just blankly stared at us, because now it's a dead giveaway that these creatures are real, but they are just doppelgangers. Maybe? But there's, like, that would have kept the illusion that they might not actually be real, and they might just be manifestations of their mind, and they might be just illusions. But or you can just go for the freak out. Yeah, a psychedelic trip. That works. Just drop any kind of illusion, just drop the mirage and just make it all out weird. That works as well. Well,
Must not be feeling well.
what is that? So, you know how I've been talking about how much I like alien horror? Yeah, that creature is completely incomprehensible to the human mind. It's just like an amalgamation of just an inky black darkness and just completely incomprehensible. That's pretty good. That could be described as alien horror. That looks freaking fantastic. That thing doesn't look like it fits in. That doesn't look like it's that's not right. And that's good. Oh my god. That looks fantastic. That looks like it should not be there. And that's the point. It looks very off. It looks real like it that is just I'm just repeating myself. Let's continue. Well, this creature of inky darkness is certainly like that is such a bold that is a very beautiful way to tell the story of what happened to this family. It is certainly unique. It's just very striking. It's a good way to tell the story of what happened to the family, and it's a very beautiful way to do that, and it's very artistic. It's so chaotic. It's mesmerizing. The way that it moves even feels wrong. I'm loving this. The entire house. Now, this reminds me of a fun story of mimics. You know, those creatures that pretend to be common day objects, and it would turn out that this creature is a mimic. What is it a mimic of? Well, it turns out to be a mimic of a freaking house. And it's just haunting this house and attacking with it. That's fantastic. This is just I'm loving this concept just so much. It's a haunted mansion where it's a haunted house where the house itself is the enemy. It's pretty well done. Oh, I've seen enough hentai. I know I'm just I'm stunned. This is just a mesmerizing fight sequence. This is not something that you would see in a kid's cartoon. I'm just saying, this is just like something out of an experimental art project. Not something that's shown in a television. This is unusual, to say the least. I'm gonna have a hard time describing what just happened there. But no, it's kind of easy to describe what happened in that sequence, but it's gonna take a little bit of time to comprehend it completely. Okay. Okay. Well, I liked this episode. Thank you very much for it. No, there's a lot to be said about this episode. I really liked it. I just the show has an aptitude for horror. When it goes for horror themes and horror imagery, it does so fantastically well. The show also has an aptitude for experimental art styles, as was clearly presented in this episode. And this episode kind of combined those two in a spectacular manner, representing the inner struggles of that beast while it had captured Jack's soul, just presenting it in such a very delightfully entertaining manner. That was a really freaking cool. Okay, so first of all, the build-up. The build-up in this episode, having just seen those flashes of that family in those kind of black and white, very... I'm gonna call it sketchy, because I don't know what else to describe it as. But it's not sketchy in the way that they are just sketched drawings, because they are clearly very well thought out and very meticulously drawn. But I don't know what else to call them. In those showing those flashbacks of that family, or flashes of premonitions of that family. Well, no, not premonitions, flashbacks of that family in that sketchy art style just was fantastical idea. It just made it very eerie and made everything seem out of place. And then having the final opponent actually be a demon possessing the house that was a really cool idea, and made it at the very least a unique enemy, and at the best just such a cool idea and an interesting concept. I mean, the origins are not clear where the demon came from, but that's unimportant, because what is important is the striking art style when the demon actually starts clashing with Jack, and when it actually kind of drains Jack's soul, and they battle it out in the demon's mind, I think, whatever, and they are just clashing in that, and it's just all drawn in that sketchy art style, and it's just that was fantastic. It was beautiful. This actually has some of the elements that I can point. This has some elements that I can point to and say that these things are iconic to the show. I just having the fact that they experimented with something so abstract, such an abstract art style, and made it look so good is really impressive. I'm honestly quite impressed how they managed to make a demon with just some lines look so freaking good. It's yeah, I'm stunned by this. This is a good episode. In case you couldn't tell, this is probably gonna end up being one of my favorite episodes because of both the concept of alien horror and the experimental art style and very good theming and just a very good build-up. Like I said, it felt like there was some pacing problems in the earlier half of the episode, because it felt like they were moving forward really quickly, but it worked as a build-up, and it perhaps wasn't as bad as I was describing it. The pacing problem was perhaps intentionally kind of done to make it seem off, to make everything seem out of place, and, build up even better the revelation of that family. Because the revelation of that family was just done really quite well, because, well, it was obvious that everything was wrong, really from the get-go. This is really cool. The latter half of this episode was just freaking fantastic. This is an episode that I kinda will probably most likely show to quite a few of my friends and just say like, hey, look at this shit. It's freaking awesome. Because it is amazing. And best of all, you can show it out of context. That is fantastic. It's just, yeah. Perhaps, okay, so maybe there's one iconic thing to the show that this episode did not do, and that is fight sequences, because the fight itself, while it was a good fight, it wasn't excelling in the choreography and creativity that the show usually does in. But that's mostly because the art style was taking the forefront in that situation, and that's not bad. I'd rather have them play around with that experimental art style than focus on choreography at that very moment. Especially considering how hard it would be to represent a good choreography in such an experimental art style. I'm fine with that. Yeah, let's not ramble on any longer. I love this episode quite a bit. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope to see you in the future. Have a great day and stay awesome. Ganmu out. Thank you very much for watching.